What's up? What's up? What's up, clapback culture? Welcome to another Thursday episode. Here we are live and in the flesh over all of the platforms, all the social media platforms. What's up? I'm teamed up with my boy Big O. Big O, what's up?
Julia, Jesse, what's happening, man? You know what I'm saying? This week in between these shows goes fast, huh?
Oh yeah, see, you just, you getting back into the groove of things. You like, dang, it's Thursday again.
It's Thursday, and we've been in motion on this side, by the way, because it's Portland Hip Hop Week. So I've actually been going back and forth between Seattle and Portland. Bass is down there living her best life, by the way. She's been down in Portland since Saturday and don't come back till Sunday.
Shout out to Basa living her best life. I see Queen is doing her thing. I saw some posts that she put on Facebook. She went and did like a social media panel and all of this stuff. She's just thriving. I love that for her.
I'll just say this here real quick. Tonight is the Hip Hop Wine and Chill. So she's actually at a winery there right outside of Portland. I ain't know there was Hip Hop Wine and Chill, but that's where she at.
Man, that's like totally up my alley. A hip hop wine and chill. I'm here for that.
What you got for us today, Julia?
Man, I got so much. It only takes a week and there's some big things popping. Your boy, President Joe Biden, is cashing in on some campaign promises, y'all. He finally came through and announced on Wednesday that he and his administration will be canceling $10,000 in federal student loan debt and $20,000 for federal borrowers who have debts for the Pell Grant. So now I know you guys are asking a bunch of questions on eligibility. How do I qualify? All of those things. So we might as well talk money. So here's the big answers to the big three questions. Who will get the loan? Okay, who qualifies for the loan? Well, the administration is saying that individuals with federal student loans who make under $125,000 per year, or couples who earn collectively $250,000 a year, qualify for the $10,000 in forgiveness. Individuals with federal student loans who make under $125,000, and the same for couples $250 who also have the Pell Grants, they'll qualify for that $20,000. There's also something in there, you guys, for parents, because I know a lot of parents had the Parent Plus loans, my mom included. Those were the federal loans for parents who helped borrowers qualify for those loans. They also can take advantage of this if their loans are taken out, as long as their loan is not taken after June 30th of this year. Okay. So how do you apply? Right now, the White House is saying there is no particular way. There's no application, if you will. But in order for borrowers to benefit, you will eventually submit an application and they'll verify your income kind of thing. And they'll just go in and erase the file. They are encouraging borrowers to go to that studentaid.gov and, log in. You can go to the debt relief announcement and follow all of those searches on there and find it. Yeah, you guys, this is pretty good. I went through and logged into my student aid and looked at my loan debt, and I said, okay, the Pell Grant is giving, your girl owns $11,000, but child, that student loan debt is in the $70,000. So I'm like, a $10,000, that ain't really making much of a smack in the face, Omari. I don't know about you, but I'll take the 10, I'll take the 20, but it ain't much when it's hitting at 80. And there it is.
I think that what's unfortunate is that we always sold a false bill of goods, and that, this is just Biden being Biden, fam. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that seems like around something Biden would do. Like, yeah, we got 10,000 for you. Although, during the campaign and everything, it was like, how could they do something transformational around student debt? And that's the thing. Is like, what's going to be transformational? I don't see nothing transformational. 10,000. I ain't gonna sneeze at it. I'm sure it'll come in handy somewhere through there or anything else. And I guess it's better to do something than nothing. but it's not the transformational whatever around student loans and really just the way that we pay for college in America that I think a lot of people expected.
I agree with your point in that there has to be something done to the broken system. I mean, because when you go to college and you're like us, you're coming straight out the hood. We also don't have a lot of financial literacy, so we're going in and you're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, just signing away your life to all these loans. And you look at it and it's like, okay, there's $3,500 here to go to this, stay in school this semester, $5,000 here and there. Then you look up and you owe $31,000 in interest, $80,000 in loans, $12,000 in grants, and you don't even know what to do with all of that, right? And so we have to think of a better way to encourage students to continue to get their education. I know a lot of the younger generation under me is like, I don't want to go to school because I don't want to have to pay all that student loan debt. So, this is something that's in the way.
What do you have to say though to all these people on the other side of this issue who are hot? Like, man, I paid my debt. These guys need to pay theirs, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of pushback around this program.
I don't want to tell them. I pay my private student loans. In full transparency, I pay my private student loans. I absolutely cannot afford to pay my federal student loans. And so I don't care what it does to my credit at this point, because I can't sign up to add another payment into my lifestyle. It's just not going to work like that. I would be drowning in student loan debt. But I do pay my private student loans. And I'm like, all right, once I go there, then maybe I can tackle something else. I mean, it is what it is. If you were able to pay your student loans, then you were able to pay them. But there's a lot of guys like me that just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? And when I graduated, we were in the heart of a recession. We didn't have anything rolled out. These kids who are just graduating, they're graduating on the toes of COVID and all of it, the world kind of changing. So it's too expensive, and you're not prepared as a 23, 24-year-old graduate to start paying $300 or $400 a month in student loans on top of, 6 to 8% inflation. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I would say this, that I think that we might want to look at or rethink how we pay for education in our country. Because at the end of the day, we're better off as a country overall the more educated that we are, right? But it's like the cost of education and higher education, it still creates this situation to where, there's an underclass in our society, right? And I mean, where if it's just crazy, because if you look at how other countries, and I don't like really comparing U.S. to other countries because, we're us, but what people put, your budget is a physical representation of your values, right? And if we valued education more in our country, then we would figure out things differently. But you know what I'm saying? We keep education in a space, higher education in a space almost of the haves and have-nots.
Absolutely. Well, we can talk more in depth about this topic on and on. So we'll move forward, you guys. But I see y'all in the comments chiming in, and shout out to everybody who's taking advantage of this. Again, it is a drop in the bucket, but everybody who is eligible should apply. Go ahead and get that dough cheese. All right. Well, let's wake it up a little bit. Earlier this week, an unfortunate situation happened in Midtown Atlanta with an Atlanta shooting. A suspect was shot 4 different individuals. 2 of them did die. One was left injured, and the other actually was just, I guess, held at gunpoint, if you will. But this is such a bizarre situation that I had to try to put the pieces together. We do have a video clip. Let's run that, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Let's bring in 11 Alive's Ariana Maniz now to continue our team coverage.
Ariana, you're live in Midtown for us this morning where this all unfolded. What can you tell us about the alleged suspect?
Well, Aisha and Cheryl, there's still a lot to learn about the deadly shooting that happened here in Midtown, like the suspect's name, which police have not yet confirmed, and a motive. Now take a look at your screen. We have video of the moments that the suspect was taken into custody at the Atlanta airport after an hours-long search. Now, although police, they haven't determined a motive, documents they are revealing both victims were among more than a dozen named in a job discrimination lawsuit filed by the suspect earlier this summer. Now, it's one of two lawsuits that the suspect is a part of against the building management company of 1280 West where the shooting occurred. Now, the suspect claims to be a whistleblower and that the company and managers named in this lawsuit violated her civil rights. But as of right now, police are not saying how the suspect knew the victims, but they do believe the victims were targeted, and police say as of right now they will release the suspect's name at the appropriate time, as this will be the center of their investigation. Back to you.
All right, y'all. So again, 34-year-old Kenya, she apparently had a bunch of different lawsuits out on the property management company. She also had some grievances at her job. So it looked like she went to the management office at the 1280 West condominium building where she was a resident for about 5 years. And she shot two different individuals there. She left that scene and then went to her employer and killed her direct supervisor, who was 41-year-old Wesley Freeman, who we saw, which is such a tragedy and a loss to his family. After that, she was able to flee the scene. She called the taxi driver that she knew, and that is how the police were able to apprehend her because of dispatch. And so the cab driver, who is also from the same country that she's from, was getting some calls on the radio about her being in the back seat, and he dropped her off at the airport where she was subsequently handed over to police. I guess she was trying to catch an international flight and get out of there. On her public LinkedIn page, she posted some fiery messages the day before the shootings, really just condemning the building management and all of those things. She wrote complaints stemming from the case and alleged fraud involving her former employer. So there's a whole bunch of things that kind of wrap into this. Again, too many lives being lost to that. But I just don't know what to make of this. I mean, how this is, I mean, I don't know what to make. I don't know how to make sense of this.
Well, first of all, I'll say it's like, yeah, it's a tragedy for sure. Second of all, I follow ATL Scoop on Instagram.
Me too.
my daughter lives down there in Atlanta, and unfortunately, man, stuff like this is like commonplace in Atlanta and a lot of places across the country. I mean, of course, this crime was unique, but it's a lot of violence. But so like, I mean, like, following what she's saying, she's like, yo, somebody broke into my safe in my house and they took, this evidence that I had of a cover up of this and that and everything else. Sound like a lot going on, man. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, come on, like, if your property management is that bad, like, most people just move, to go and to start shooting. And I looked at her LinkedIn. Did you see her LinkedIn?
I didn't pull up to her LinkedIn.
No, LinkedIn is like, somebody you just bump into every day, man. That makes me think twice about people I meet off LinkedIn. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, and that was the most interesting thing about all of this is that she's very normal. You know what I mean? Like, she's the average. She is not your usual suspect. I will say that. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is with today. I think you could probably stereotype the typical perpetrator years ago, but it's like today it really is the person who was like just goes to work every day, pays her taxes, hey this and that. Those are the ones going ham, yo.
She's 34 years old. She's my age. I mean, you're like you said. I mean, you're that mad. Not only are you that mad, but you have made all these allegations that someone has come into your house, broke into your safe. How does somebody even break into your safe and steal documents? I mean, I just don't think people are that invested. She filed, complaints that The property management company was withholding her mail, and she was receiving letters from Georgia Power, who she also had a lawsuit against. So it's giving very much like delusional, right? Like this is not the average course that someone would take to resolve their grievances. If you don't like your job, you quit and you get a new one. If you feel like someone's stealing from you at your property, you move out and you move somewhere else. So she comes from an African background, and Omari,
Cameroon.
and listen, I'm telling you, the Cameroon community is up in flames, baby. You know how it goes. They are, I'm telling you, they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Even the cab driver knew her from back home.
Yeah, the taxi driver, I saw the video. The taxi driver was like, hey, have you done anything? Is everything okay? Is anyone mad at you? She's like, no, I'm just chilling. Take me to the airport. She just smoked like, you know what I'm saying? She shot like 4 people. She's like, no, it's no problem. Everything is cool. He's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, it's all good.
And then she hit him with this, though. Oh, she hit him with the, nah, you're safe.
Oh, yeah, you're safe.
He was like, nah, you're safe.
You're
like, and he was like, well, and then, but he opened, I mean, he kind of broke character and was like, listen, all these calls are about you. Like,
yeah, I thought when he said that, I thought it was going to get funky up in the cab, to be honest with you. I'm like, oh,
listen, you know, I mean, he's lucky it didn't get spicy in his cab, but I don't know. Listen, more should unfold in this story, you guys. This is, again, I can't wrap my mind around it. So, listen, another big win in court, you guys, was Kobe Bryant's wife, you guys. She won $16 million, or was awarded, if you will, the $16 million in the trial over those crash photos we talked about. The federal jury said that the Los Angeles County must pay her, okay, for emotional distress caused by deputies and firefighters sharing those photos of the bodies of her husband and her deceased daughter. Her co-plaintiff, Chris Chester, he lost his wife and daughter also in the helicopter crash. Their photos also were circulated. He was awarded $15 million. Again, some individuals said that this was a cash grab. For a woman, like Vanessa Bryant, obviously she's not in it for a cash grab. You know, her statement was that she did this for her husband and her daughter, and to hold people accountable for their actions. So I salute her. An attorney for the county declined to comment after the courtroom, but you guys, I mean, this is what happens when you do malicious things like this on the job. And so they took advantage of an opportunity to go viral or have these kind of images and really did something malicious with this. And so I'm glad that she took this all the way to court and she was awarded those damages.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Like, man, let's be clear. Somehow some people be trying to make it seem like the profession of police is a protected class somewhere, man. It's still a profession. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even like in the military, people have an expectation of code of conduct. People just want to wave some wand in America and just be like, oh, since it's the police, they do nothing wrong. Man, come on, dog. Like, is you serious? And so what happened here is somebody who had means for justice was able to use the means. I wish somebody here who was banked up like she is would take these jokers here to civil court over what they did in the Seattle protests, how they sat there and lied got on the radios and said that the Proud Boys was on the way and caused all this. I mean, you know what I'm saying? These guys, this is people who had the means to get some reciprocity, or in court, they would say some relief. They were able to get some relief because they had the money, and these people are going to think twice now about how they act. This is what I'm saying. The same people who was here in Seattle who sat there and ran all this and co-intel and misinformation and everything else during the Seattle protests, all those officers were able to leave and go get hired by another police force. You know what I'm saying? Because there wasn't, our oversight here was weak. The OPA, they got ran over. You know what I'm saying? As usual, the police here have a much stronger contract. SPA got the contract. The OPA, the oversight is watered down. So nobody's accountable. you know? And so, yeah, score one for the people. When somebody actually got the bread to go to court, you know what I'm saying? And take their case to court and get paid. It wasn't about the money. You know what I'm saying? I think it was about holding people accountable. And if you got the means, because it takes money to hold the police accountable, they had the means to do it. Good for them.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more on all of those points. I mean, if you do the crime, you need to be held accountable for it. And like you said, nobody should be above the law, not even the police, or first responders in this case. So, Omari, I want to get your opinion on this next story. This is spicy and crazy. Mississippi School District is announcing the return of corporal punishment, you guys, for students through paddle use. Can you believe this? It may be hard to believe, but back in the day, you know, schools did have the authority to physically discipline children. Well, they're bringing it back. They're running it back, you guys, and they're saying that this is going to be a form of punishment that if all else fails, they want to be able to paddle your kids. And so the school superintendent, her name is Merle Johnson. She spoke out about, you know, the concern that some parents had about this, because of course there's going to be some pushback. Well, she says this, she says corporal punishment will be used only when the other means of discipline have failed, and then only in a reasonable form when the principal approves it. They went on to further note that administrators stated that they don't believe that corporal punishment will be used very often, but when it is used, it will be by an administrator only in the presence of another school district employee. Child, I don't know about this. I know some of these kids are off the hook, but I don't want nobody else whooping my baby. I don't know. Omari, what you say? You a father of 3?
Yeah, man. Have you been to some of these kids is up the goddamn wall, man?
I
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's unfortunate. Let's just be clear. It's unfortunate that a lot of kids that are in school, the only time that they ever see any discipline is in school. You know what I'm saying? And the teachers catch hell. Could them kids be like, my mama don't even tell me what to do. How you gonna tell me what to do? My daddy don't tell me what to do. You know, man, what? It's wild. And I mean, the thing is we've now put our teachers in a position of catch all. The teachers have to catch all, man. The teachers have to catch, you know what I'm saying? They have to deal with if the kid might have issues in the home, if these kids are malnutritioned, if they're not, you know what I'm saying? If nobody's at home helping them with their stuff, you got to be on the lookout for abuse. You got to be on the lookout. Like, man, the teachers it's a lot going on. And I mean, I got some issues with corporal punishment in Mississippi, of all places. Like, I'm not really feeling that per se, but all I am saying is that on the larger issue of discipline in schools, unfortunately, we got a lot of young people who have never had no kind of discipline ever. I mean, if you was to go home with them, and I've been home with a few of them, I mean, it's like they run the house. You know what I'm saying? They don't knock on nobody's door. They just walk in, they take this, they do this, they do that. And I'd be like, man, who's running this home here? So, I mean, if people feel that way at home, imagine how they feel at school. I don't know if whooping on them in Mississippi. We was just down there in Mississippi. And so I got some real concerns about that. But I do know that our educators face a challenge with these young people.
Well, I'm looking in the comments, and Maggie and our crew is bringing up a lot of heavy points. One, is this going to be used fairly? Like, are we thinking about, when we think about the disbursement of discipline, are we thinking about our Black boys who are normally targeted for bad behavior when really they just need a different kind of learning style or something like that? So are we going to be targeting different kids that we don't like? I mean, teachers will build a bias, against a child that they don't like, especially, these kids can be petty, okay? And they talk back and they do this and that. And so it can be a lot. And so I think we're asking so much of our teachers to step into a role of a guardian or a parent, or even just a family member. We're asking so much when, you and I had a discussion last week about parents really needing to step up and be better parents. I don't think adding the use of paddles to discipline children in school is going to change their overall behavior. There has to be something that's a deeper root to it. If kids go to school and they start getting whooped on, they're probably just going to stop going to school. But
or they're gonna come back with the strap,
or they're going to come back and shoot the school up, right?
Yeah,
And then think about being the administrator who has to actually implement the use of the paddle. Like, I don't want to be in that position. Like, you don't take a job being like, I got to actually whoop some ass today. Like, I didn't sign up for that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I hear you guys in the comments.
I think that's to be honest with you, these days, I think that's dangerous. This isn't, corporal punishment was put in place. It was a different environment, and it wasn't the school shootings, it wasn't this and that. I mean, an educator has a real concern about somebody coming for him, like, for real. This isn't 20 years ago or whatever, man. I mean, you sit there and paddle these kids might come back for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just different now.
And
so
yeah, I'm saying, and the parents might come back for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. It's like the administrator's like, hey, Jules, your daughter's in class today. She received a paddle. We used the paddle on her today. Got that bad. I'm pulling up to work and she comes home and her ass is all lit up. It's just, there's just too many things that can go wrong. I don't see how this will be physically possible. Maybe they are just implementing this new rule or this policy to scare kids so that is just a form of discipline that's on the table, but they never actually implement it. I don't know. That maybe be the case to kind of keep some kids in line. But again, kids do need discipline, and they need more structure. And I think especially coming off the heels of COVID and things being different and more relaxed, we have to tighten up as parents, as a village, as a community, to make sure that we implement a stronger structure for kids to know that this is the way things are going to roll. Because students right now can be lazy if you let them, right? They can be disrespectful if you let them, but it takes people saying, that's not cool. This is not how you speak to somebody. We need to go back to the, having more manners, having more discipline, and really utilizing all of our resources as a collective and saying, actually, we're not doing that, and stopping that stuff at the root and seeing what that root cause is. And calling parents to the table and saying, actually, you need to do something about your child. What is going on at home where, they're being so disruptive, or they're clowning around, or they're doing this, because it's a lot of stress on teachers. I've seen teachers single out kids because they just don't like them. And that has, that's not the way to go either. So we have to have some more roundtable conversations. We got to implement some more services. We need to open up these rec centers, bring back these mentors, fund some programs so kids can be outside of the house to get the mentors and the leadership that they need, especially if they're not getting it at home with their families.
Yeah, no, I hear you 100%. And I know you got break coming up. So I would just say this is that every time, so Brandon Hersey is now the school board president here in the city of Seattle. And even when he was a director, and even when he was running for that special position, when it first opened up, I always say it's because people are like, oh, the teachers, the this and that. And I'd be like, man, y'all got to hold these parents accountable. Why don't you guys do doing some parent attendance? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's accountable? Like, we be ready to show up when our kid gets suspended or this and that and call out the school, but it'd be interesting to be like, how many times have you been to the school before that? Have you even looked at your kid's syllabus? You know what I'm saying? Do you even know your kids' teachers' names? Do you check for their homework? And so, yeah, it's a big issue at school because, we have unfortunately not a lot. There's definitely a percentage of parents who are just, man, they're on autopilot and they're letting the schools basically are raising the kids.
Well, when we come back, because we do need to take a quick break, when we come back, we're going to be talking about Nick Cannon. He's expecting baby number 10. Somebody needs to talk about the responsibility of that good black man, okay? You're watching Clapback Culture. Stay tuned.
Guess what, you guys? Portland Hip Hop Week is August 20th through 27th, and Converge Media is proud to be an official partner. Of course, it's your buddy Basa Gordon here, and you already know the Converge team is literally going to head south on I-5 to celebrate hip-hop culture in the Rose City. Portland Hip Hop Week is literally jam-packed with dope events, including the Hip Hop Skate Party, hosted by DJ OG1, Hip Hop Wine and Chill at the Abbey Creek Winery. There's also a DJ workshop hosted by Grand Wizard Theodore, and let's not forget Portland Hip Hop Week's biggest night, the 2022 Star Wars, and this year they're celebrating women in hip hop. You can get more information by visiting pdxhiphopweek.com, and of course you can head over to my blog at jammin1075.com. Just search Basa.
Hey there, it's Trey Holiday. And of course, Basa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Basa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear.
Basically, fam, believe in giving. Like, we have to be willing to give more, and people seem to always think giving means money, but nah, bro. It's like you can give time, you can give understanding, you can give access, you can give a listening ear and an open heart. You can give and share your God-given gifts and talents, but you just got to give.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Clap Back Culture. We wouldn't be clapping back if we didn't do it for the culture. So here we are, you guys, with some hot tea that is spilling. Your boy Nick Cannon and one of his baby mothers, Brittany Bell, are expecting their third child, his number 10. Okay. Now, listen, you guys know I have given a lot of criticism to this in the past because I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's just a whole new way of life, honey. So I decided to give you guys a breakdown of the timeline. Okay. So just so y'all can know that this is baby number 10, I can tell you who the baby mamas are in the timeline and all of this. And Santana, you're right. Nick Cannon does need to be stopped, but he's saying it's not an issue. So you guys know he married the queen, Mariah Carey, and they celebrated their first children. They had twins in April 2011. That's Monroe and Morocco. Okay. That's 2. Then we have Brittany Bell, who he's now expecting his third baby with, but he had his first baby in February 2017, Golden, and then Powerful with her in 2020. So now here it is, 2022 baby, and they're about to have another baby. Okay. Abby De La Rosa, that's that DJ. She's real pretty, real cute. They have twins, Zion and Zillan. Okay. She is also pregnant, and she's expecting their baby in October. Okay, so he got 2 girls pregnant right now at the same time, but that's not new for Nick Cannon. Okay, they're about this life. So that's 6, 7, 8 kids. Okay, so let's keep the count. We're at count number 8. Okay, and with the 2 on the way. He also had a baby with Alyssa Scott, and they had their baby in June 2021, a baby boy named Zen. But Zen tragically passed away 5 months after being born to brain cancer. Even though the baby has passed, we're still going to count that because, of course, he had life, and we will breathe life into that. He also just celebrated the birth of Bree Tessie, with Bree Tessie, you guys, okay? And they just had Legendary, a baby boy, this year in July. Okay. And to add 2 on the 10, they also did the announcement with Bree in January 2022, which is a month after Zen passed away. So, child, somebody needs to tell Nick Cannon to stop it. So here's what he said. And you can keep him on the screen, Cuddy. In an interview on with Angela Yee, he told the girls on there that he was going to practice celibacy, but after Zen passed away, he went into this depression, and all his baby mothers felt like the one thing that would get him out of the depression was sex. And so he was lured in, and he had sex, and then he was just having so much sex, and now here he is with 2 additional babies on the way.
All right. So
Is this irresponsible? Is this like how, like, what do we make of this?
I think Eddie Murphy has 10 kids too. But um, you know, I think Eddie Murphy has 10 kids too. All right. So culturally speaking, right, there are other cultures in the world where you know, it's not frowned upon if you have a lot of kids or even a lot of wives, as long as you take care of all of them. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of cultures that are like, hey, you know, if you're taking care of all of your children equally, or maybe even all of your wives equally, then you know that's accepted. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think Nick's getting a lot of heat. I mean, I don't know if I would have went on Angela Yee and said all that. I mean, it's realistic, maybe that's how it went down. But like, you know, I think the thing is too is that, I mean, he's not done. He's probably gonna look for like 15 or 20.
Nick Cannon definitely is not done. I can tell you that right now. And I agree that this is a different situation. It's a non-traditional situation, but to your point, you know, in other countries and other cultures, if you will, you know, if you have multiple wives, should you be able to take care of them in the same manner, then things are fine. My only issue with this is that it's like Nick Cannon's already a super busy guy. Like, how do you raise all of these kids, all 9 of these kids that live in different households and things like that? I mean, obviously he has a lot of resources and things like that. I mean, I don't know. I just couldn't be a part of a dynamic like this. But the baby mothers, you know, it's kind of like a little village, you know, they support each other. Okay.
Oh, so hold on. You left that part out there. So all these guys, they're like, yeah, it's all good. Like none of these guys.
They're not beefing with each other. It's not like a secret. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, listen, he already has kids with them. It's an arrangement. They all subscribe to this. They say that they.
So he's not a player. Then it isn't like he's
No,
just popping up somewhere and you know what I'm saying. And he lands in Seattle, and the next thing you know, so and so shows up pregnant. He's got a situation going with these women.
And particularly Brittany and Abby, right? Because he has a 3-piece with each of them. So it's like he's still building a family between Brittany and Abby. So the two of them, you know, Mariah Carey didn't moved on, okay? Brittany and Abby are both pregnant right now at the same time. Alyssa lost her baby. So I don't know if they're planning to have another baby. But then we got Bree, who's the newest of the baby mothers that's in the mix, who only has 1 baby. So I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. It's only 4 baby mothers at this point. It used to be 5, because I don't know where Alyssa stands in all of this now that their baby passed on. But he's juggling 4 baby mothers. So it's really only 4 households that he has to maintain.
Yeah, that's only stuff you can do when you got money. Like, let's just be clear. You know what I'm saying? First of all, if he was broke, it wouldn't even be going down. He wouldn't have got the opportunity to get to 10. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, I mean, he got the opportunity to get to 10 because he got the resources.
You know what's where I call bullshit on all of this though is Abby did an interview. Well, she was on Instagram Live and she was like, you guys are really like, you guys just don't understand, blah, blah, blah. Because people were in the comments like, would you still be with him if he was broke? And her response was, well, I was in a long-term relationship with somebody and we shared a studio apartment. We shared 1 car and we planned our meals together in X, Y, and Z. Girl, let me tell you, you did not have 3 kids with him, okay? You didn't have 3 kids with him. But she also admitted in the same Instagram Live that, you know, there are perks to being with Nick Cannon, okay? And so a part of these perks, obviously, you know, she drives great cars. She lives in a beautiful house. You know, and she has a full network. You know, Nick Cannon is extremely successful. So, you know, there's perks that come with this. But I mean, are you in a relationship with Nick? And are you okay that he goes to Brittany's house and he goes to Bree's house? And Or does he have an ongoing? Is it sister wife vibes? Like, I just wish I wish they were a little bit more open about the arrangement.
Why they gotta be more open though? I'm just saying. Like,
listen, it's all these huge like gender reveals and baby showers, and it's all on the gram.
I think like money, of course, money makes a lot of things, happen and move. But I'm just like, bruh just got an amazing amount of bandwidth and capacity. So it's like me, man, I'd never be a good player, because I'm like, man, I got to give all these people the same amount of attention and this and that. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's difficult. So I'm just wondering like how bruh's able to manage all of these relationships with these women. And it ain't like somebody you can put on block or whatever on block. You got 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? You have to actively be involved in all of these relationships. I'm wondering how bruh could even juggle all that, man. I mean, like, I'm good. One's enough for me. 4 or 5 and 10 kids.
Well, Bree spoke out to Entertainment Tonight, and she spoke on that. She said, listen, it's not as difficult as you guys may think. Basically, you just reach out to the assistant to make sure that whatever event you have is on the calendar. You tell him, he needs to be here, and then boom, X, Y, and Z, he's there.
Yeah. I mean, that's logistics of showing up being somewhere. But like, I guess you're right when you say like more insight, because it's like, is this like a relationship or an arrangement?
But it's also kind of like, are you really raising your kids, or is it or like, how much time can you really raise your kids if you don't live in the same household with them? And then you have multiple households with different children. So there's only so much time in a day. And so I bet you none of them kids, if they was in Mississippi, would be getting paddled. Oh yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, this is what I'm saying. So it's like, okay, we're raising. I mean, it's I don't know. Well, I just feel like, yeah, it's would I go for the 10-pack? No. Would I go for the 10-pack with 4 or 5 different? Definitely not. But at the same time, I think that those kids very well might get opportunities and resources that a lot of children that we talked about at the beginning of the show, who might be facing corporal punishment and running wild and everything else, that those children might not. Yeah, that's true. I mean, those kids ain't gonna want for nothing. I mean, they might grow up with a few daddy issues along the way, but there's gonna be a lot of daddy issues. Have them on the pole, man. Man, don't listen. It's gonna be a situation. We'll see. We shall see. Shout out to Nick Cannon and Brittany. Congratulations on your guys' expected new arrival. Nonetheless, it seems like there's a lot of love in that. But we got to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the former Louisville detective that finally pled guilty as it relates to the Breonna Taylor case. Stay tuned.
Guess what, you guys? Portland Hip Hop Week is August 20th through 27th, and Converge Media is proud to be an official partner. Of course, it's your buddy Basa Gordon here, and you already know the Converge team is literally going to head south on I-5 to celebrate hip-hop culture in the Rose City. Portland Hip Hop Week is literally jam-packed with dope events, including the Hip Hop Skate Party, hosted by DJ OG1, Hip Hop Wine and Chill at the Abbey Creek Winery. There's also a DJ workshop hosted by Grand Wizard Theodore, and let's not forget Portland Hip Hop Week's biggest night, the 2022 Star Wars, and this year they're celebrating women in hip hop. You can get more information by visiting pdxhiphopweek.com, and of course you can head over to my blog at jammin1075.com. Just search Basa.
Basically, fam, believe in giving. Like, we have to be willing to give more, and people seem to always think giving means money, but nah, bro. It's like you can give time, you can give understanding, you can give access, you can give a listening ear and an open heart. You can give and share your God-given gifts and talents, but you just got to give.
All right, y'all. Big news on the horizon. Not unexpected, but I think the more details that come out in this case are going to continue to be surprising and also heartbreaking. So, former Louisville detective finally pled guilty to federal charges in the Breonna Taylor case. So, she was in federal court on Tuesday, and she pled guilty to conspiring to falsify an affidavit for a warrant to search Breonna Taylor's home, which ultimately led to her death because the search warrant was falsified. And it turned out to be a cover up, you guys. We got a quick clip. We'll play that. We'll come back and we'll talk about it.
We start this Tuesday afternoon as we get to 4 o'clock with developing news in the death of Breonna Taylor. Today from Kentucky, a former Louisville police detective pleading guilty to a federal conspiracy charge.
Kelly Goodlett helped falsify the warrant that led to the deadly police raid on Taylor's apartment back in March of 2020. Prosecutors say Goodlett also conspired with another former detective, Joshua Janes, to cover it up. Goodlett appeared in a federal court in Louisville this afternoon and admitted to conspiring to falsify that warrant. Taylor was shot to death by officers who knocked down her door while executing that warrant. Goodlett's sentencing is scheduled for November. 2 other officers have also been charged in the FBI's investigation.
All right. So those 2 other officers, you guys, have not pleaded guilty. They are scheduled to be in court in October. So, but here's what we know. Goodlett admitted that she knew that the affidavit in support of the warrant to search Breonna's home was false, misleading, and stale. And that's according to the DOJ statement. And secondly, she also admitted that she and the other detectives conspired to obstruct justice by providing that false information to investigators after Breonna Taylor was shot and killed. So it's a 2-part thing, right? Because they lied to get the warrant, and then they did the whole cover-up operation after the fact. So she was charged, and like I said, she pled guilty. She is looking at 5 years in prison and a fine up to $250,000. She is also going to be a witness for the government, so she plans on telling on her co-conspirators.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. This when people sit there and they talk about, the system somehow being fair. I mean, you got to think about this, right? So the Louisville police went there and they did this raid. So anytime there's deadly force used, it's another agency that comes in and investigates it. Here it might be OPA and a thing called FIT. In other areas, it's a task force. Maybe the sheriff might come in or the state police, which means that, so the Louisville police did the raid. Another police agency or oversight investigated them, right? Mm-hmm. Then from there, because this was so high profile, this went up to the state level. And that Coonan attorney general there in Kentucky was like, oh, they did nothing wrong. Thin blue line and all this kind of stuff and everything else. That'll tell you, in the state of Kentucky, how can you have any hopes of finding justice? How can you have any hopes? The police department was corrupt. The department that investigated it was corrupt. The attorney general was corrupt. And if it wasn't for the FBI, this life would have just gone on. This would have just been like, another tragedy and everything else. I know that there was a civil settlement on it, but the system itself is broken. Mm-hmm. And, if it wasn't for the FBI, these guys would go there. You know what I'm saying? These officers probably leave Louisville department and go to Lexington. You know what I'm saying? Everything else, because the record doesn't follow them or anything else. If people ever needed a clear example of how broken at times our system is, it's right here. Imagine if the FBI didn't come in. Life would just go on.
Listen, I mean, there's no way for us to wrap our mind around this. And as we learn more, I mean, what we learned is that if you guys can remember, the premise of getting the search warrant was that Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who wasn't really her boyfriend, right? It was just a dude that she kind of hung out with on occasion, was allegedly having mail received to her house, which they said was drug affiliated. That was never true. That never happened. And detectives knew that that wasn't true, but said it because they felt that the boyfriend allegedly was there. And here's why I'm doing boyfriend, because Breonna Taylor actually was dating somebody else, a guy that was there at the house who shot at police officers there. So in that sense, I mean, from a woman's aspect, you're kind of thinking about it like, okay, I dated this guy. He never had mail or anything come to my house. It's, you know, she was a 26-year-old, very responsible young woman. I mean, I think she was working as an EMT or something, you know, she's working as an EMT. She's extremely responsible, you know, but she's, you know, young enough to date and young enough to know better. And so she clearly didn't have this long ongoing love or romantic relationship with this guy. And they use that very slim relationship to kind of build this narrative in order to get this search warrant. And then subsequently, like you said, you then sent all these task force to come out and shot up her house and killed her in the aftermath. Not to mention that if I'm a responding officer on this task force, I'm thinking that the detectives have done their job, right? So as a team player, I'm also looking at them like, well, damn, I killed somebody, you know, in the line of duty, thinking that this was a hostile situation when really you guys set us up for failure, even though they shouldn't have. There was no warrant for them to just massively shoot up the house. I'm not even gonna excuse that situation. But if it wasn't such a mass shooting in that capacity, imagine being an officer who fired the shot, you know, and saying, well, damn, we didn't even have a reason to be here.
Yeah, listen. For these guys to go and falsify this warrant and everything else, believe me, it's not the first time.
Exactly.
Believe me, and what very well might come out of this officer now turning state's evidence or feds, working with the feds, is we very well might find a like deep-seated corruption within the Louisville Police Department. That ain't the first time these people done that, falsified a warrant, this and that. These are the same kind of cops that are plant dope on you. You see what I'm saying? I mean, because clearly they have no respect for the actual rule of law. They're like, man, they are the law. And they went in front. If I was the judge, like the judge should be irate. They went in front of the judge. The judge had to swear out the warrant. They went and lied to the judge. And for them to go and falsify this, go in front of a judge and lie to a judge to get the warrant, they've done this time and again.
It's a grave disservice to our criminal justice system. And to your point, I think they absolutely need to look into the other cases and other people who have been charged and or convicted from these detectives and pull those case logs, right? If it were me, and I'm sitting in jail somewhere, I'd be pulling the case log and saying, hey, judge, I need you to look this up because this search warrant wasn't even valid. Not to mention all of the other things that could possibly go wrong with corrupt police officers like this. And so we're not saying everybody's a bad cop, but we're saying this is absolute corruption, and more people and more people within the department need to call a spade at this point. We see that, you know, when other police officers speak out against other police officer, it goes bad. But guess what? Do you want to be on the other side of Goodlet, who's getting ready to tell in a courtroom, who's about to snitch on everybody? Because she's getting a deal. 5 years and a $250 fine ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing. There was a full life lost in this, not to mention all the lives that got lost in the aftermath of this, right? That continued to spur so much violence and so many riots around our country because of this. And it's toxic. We're living in a poisonous culture at the moment, with a lot of police not policing themselves, not having oversight of themselves. We just saw that video, you guys, that went viral, where 3 police officers took down an individual in Arkansas and was violently beating him on the sidewalk. And so thank God for cell phone footage, because that seems to be getting the message out. But I mean, when we're getting inside these courtrooms, we have to see justice being done. And if we're not seeing it done to prevent this kind of stuff, right? Getting legal warrants to search people's home, then how do we start and how do we finish?
Yeah, no, I mean, on the real end, this is when people sit there, you have to think about this. This case went to the highest law enforcement office in the state of Kentucky, the highest law enforcement office. And the attorney general there in Kentucky was like, nah, ain't nothing happening here. Oh, yeah, they fired a shot that went into the next person's house. So that might be a crime right there. So it's something, man, I mean, you could only imagine what's going on there in the state of Kentucky. You could only imagine how hard it might be to get justice there. Because on every level, like no one saw any value in Breonna's life. No one. And if it wasn't for the FBI, all these guys would still just be chilling on the job. You know, if the feds didn't come in. So you got to think about that. How many times have these guys gotten away because they know all the way to the highest office in their state, there's no real oversight.
And it's really the people putting the pressure on a case like this in order to get the feds involved, right? Because if there was not so much outrage, then this would have clearly been covered up and swept under the rug, and Breonna Taylor's family would have never been able to get kind of justice in this situation. None of these details, none of these individuals would have been held accountable. So had it not been for this case being so high profile, I don't think the FBI would have ever been involved.
Well, I would say this: one time for everybody who took to the streets, one time for everybody who said her name, you know what I'm saying, who put pressure all across America and all across the world, you know, because if it wasn't for that, it would just be another day in Louisville. People took to the streets to say her name, to demand justice. And man, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm glad that the feds acted.
Me too. All right, y'all. Well, we're going to tie this one up with a bow. Again, justice for Breonna Taylor. We're going to keep you updated as more facts roll in. We're looking at more details coming in the fall. It seems like these other detectives are going to trial in October. So once more details come out, we will keep you updated there. But until then, this is an episode of Clapback Culture. Thank you so much for watching. Omari, when you're not here on Clapback Culture, where can they find you?
Man, I'm everywhere like air. You already know. You know what I'm saying? Omnipresent. But on social media, you can find me at Omari Sal, OMARISAL, everywhere.
All right. And you guys know where you guys can find me right here on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. You know what it is. Please pull up and follow me. Let me know what you want to talk about next week. Okay. Until then, have a peaceful weekend. Go out in bliss. It's been real tonight. As always, thank you for showing up. Thank you, Big O, for co-hosting with me. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.